the injuries are very, very similar. So we've now seen probably upwards of 40, and we can tell pretty much immediately without a vet's confirmation whether the body is a road traffic accident victim or whether it's one of the cases. The bodies are always on display, so they're not hidden away. There's never any blood at the scene, and the wounds are very, very clean cuts. So he does a variety of things. For instance, he decapitates. In others, he just takes the tail off. In others, just the head. We've had a couple of half cats cut in half, and we've had cats with the back legs and tail removed, and we had one with the head and front paws removed.
Is there any blood on any of the animals anywhere?
Very little, and none at the scene. So he's obviously not killing the cats where he's putting them back. It looks like he's taking them away somewhere.
One UK colleague of mine who has long helped Earth Files with field investigations of animal mutilations and human abductions is 52-year-old Ian Holling from Willersey in the county of Gloucestershire, southwest England. Ian is a computer technician who also manages his own PC support company. I asked him to help with news updates about what snarl, veterinarians and police are reporting in the persistent, bloodless, small animal mutilations in Croydon and beyond.
It's been reported that it must be a knife-wielding maniac. Well, we know for a fact that they released the statement that there was no human DNA found, which is another strange aspect to the story. No human DNA.
Well, the news from authorities that no human DNA has been confirmed on at least 5 cases they've investigated so far contradicts the hypothesis of a deranged individual, doesn't it?
Yes, they've also reported that the cats from the autopsies have been found to have suffered blunt trauma. One of the theories that was going around was that maybe these cats were being deliberately run over. Now, that doesn't really hold water because of the sheer number of cats. When did you last run a cat over? Cats are territorial. They'll stick to a small local area, and they'll be skittish. If you wanted to try and catch a cat that you weren't familiar with, or the cat wasn't familiar with you, the cat would probably run away. This is a very populated area. There's lots going on. It's in London. Things are happening all the time. There's people around all the time. There's closed-circuit TV in a lot of the locations around here. What's actually happening is the cats seem to disappear, and then their body is found dismembered, drained of blood, in a public place, sometimes even virtually on the doorstep of the owners. So this is highly strange activity.
People generally ring us because they've found a body or body parts. And some of the cats have been found in very public, open spaces. Some have been found in people's gardens. It is obviously quite shocking. So if people discover their own cat, it's quite traumatic. And for people whose cat it isn't, it's still quite a shocking thing. So it's quite emotional.
Have you been able to match any of the separate paws to any of the whole body cats that you've been investigating?
The RSPCA are looking at that at the moment.
Right now you don't have a case of a match?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Is it because that you just started doing this, or is it a possibility that the number of paws would indicate that many more mutilations of cats that you have not found in whole bodies?
Really hard to tell. We think that the paws we've discovered, for instance, there was a cat killed in Bedfont, and that's Bedfont, which is kind of northwest London, West London, and 2 weeks later, a paw that looked like it could have been hers was found in somebody's front garden, placed next to his vehicle. It hadn't been there the night before. So we think that's a possible match, but we won't know until the necropsies are complete.
How many miles between where the body was found and the paw was found?
It was just the same road.
Like
within 10 houses.
The population of Croydon is some 370,000 people. I find it very difficult to see how one person can be doing all of this.
It was only about 4 or 5 months ago that there was a major story with photo of a monitor lizard in the Croydon region that was found also slit in its belly, not one drop of blood anywhere, and a royal python snake was found with its belly cleanly slit, no blood.
That is correct. Those animals were found in wooded area. That was to the north of London in St Albans. So that is on the other side of London. This was a mysterious case. Exotic reptiles discovered, dumped, bloodless, with intestines missing. Very strange.
Like the MO on the cats, the foxes, the birds, and the rabbits.
Yes, and these animals are not native to the UK. One of the things that I did notice about that case was that it was in an area, if we mark it on the map, it falls on a 51.7 degree latitude line. And we do find a lot of high strangeness, particularly animal mutilations and other high strangeness in the UK along this 51.7 latitude.
Can you give some examples of some other incidents of high strangeness that have occurred right on that latitude?
Well, the ones that I'm familiar with are two cases of horse mutilations in Wales, one in 2012 and one at the end of last year. They both fall on that line. Also, we had the very famous case in the 1970s of the so-called Welsh Triangle, and coming right the way across the UK in the Cotswolds around Stroud, there's been a lot of high strangeness, including one that we've discussed. That was the cat shavings, where cats were disappearing. In these cases, cats were being found with patches of fur missing from their bodies.
Where were the shaved animals found?
They've been found in Gloucestershire, in the central United Kingdom, a couple of villages in the Stroud district.
So not in the Croydon region, much further north, but nevertheless, it's cats. And the very fact that there would be bloodless mutilations in southeastern England, and then that there would be these strange repeated shavings of cats further north, means that there is a phenomena that is going on focused on cats that no one can understand, has explained, and no one has been arrested.
Right. Now, with the cats, it's important to note that we've got one case where the cat has been shaved 4 times. It's returned to its owner with patches of fur missing. That's happened 4 times. This is ridiculous. Who would do such a thing? That's where a cluster of these shavings have happened in recent times. There's also another area, Tunbridge Wells, where there have also been shaving incidents. That area would perhaps be between Croydon and Stroud.
How could people have the ability to catch a cat, a fox, a rabbit, a bird in the first place without being noticed, and then take it away, mutilate it, return it, place it where it can be found without the person being seen by somebody?
Exactly. This is what is so bizarre. By the way, you mentioned the foxes. There is an urban fox population in London. Now, 2 foxes have been found in a mutilated fashion, and they're talking about birds and rabbits as well. So this is amazing. If you looked at a human scenario of a human catching these animals, it doesn't make sense. Don't forget, in this last report for the last weekend, we've had a report of 3 cats found decapitated in South London over the weekend alone.
May 7 and 8.
Yeah, 3 of them in a 10-mile radius, I believe. That is very unusual that the frequency is so much.
Boudica, what is the one town area that you've had the most repeat mutilations?
It's hard to tell. I'm not convinced we're hearing about all of them yet. We've got clusters in Croydon, we've got clusters in Frimley, we've got clusters in West London, we've got a cluster in North London.
Are these occurring in a regular cycle?
No, they're not. And we've had a couple that have occurred during the day as well. So whilst most of the attacks are occurring at night.
What about Scotland Yard? Are you communicating with them?
Yeah, we're in almost daily communication with them. We're working very closely with them
Why would Scotland Yard come into the investigation?
because there's a link between animal killings and mutilations and somebody who do the same thing to humans.
Do they have an insight?
They tend to believe it's one person.
No closed-circuit TV images of anything unusual happening in London, which is full of closed-circuit TV. People are coming and going all the time.
You're making a very important point about the seeming invisibility of the taking and returning of these animals.
That's right, because one would assume if these animals were needed by something, that they would take them and be done with it, dispose of them some other way. But these seem to be just returned for us to find. Why? Is something toying with us? As someone once said, if there is another intelligence that is working alongside or carrying out these things alongside us, putting a lot of fear in a lot of people, what is the agenda of it all?